David here from Sunshine Acres. I've come down to the beautiful Sunshine Gold Coast to meet Kirk. He's the first person to import a Derette XC1100, and we just thought we'd have a little bit of chat about it. How long did the process take?
Well, I ordered actually I ordered a V1000 about, I believe it was about July 2nd, and then I saw on a YouTube, I think it was, that Derette had announced that about 2 days later, about July 4th or 5th, that they had announced the XC1100. And because my property is fairly sloped and stuff, I contacted them immediately and said, hey, what is the improvements over the V1000? I was talking to Felix and at Derette, and he told me the improvements, and it made sense for me to wait. So I said, I'd like to put my order on hold. How long would it take? And they said, oh, it'd be about a month, but that actually strolled out with the testing that they did and some refinements, probably 2 or 3 months. So order July 2nd, was on the doorsteps on December 22nd.
So just a little under 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty reasonable for a brand new machine off the showroom floor. And how did you find the service at Derette? How did you find the communication?
Absolutely fantastic. They're very responsive. When I was asking information, I got the information back. There was a couple weeks where they weren't really sure of what the price was going to be for the Derette, for the XC1100 over the V1000. So they hadn't determined what the price was going to be yet. So they finally got me a price, and I said, with the improvements, it sounded good. Especially I like the additional track width for stability on slopes, and also that it was a track that was less inclined to come off.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been really good and responsive. I can say nothing but really good things about Dean and Felix at Derette.
Had you considered buying a local manufactured machine like the Kanga or a Dingo or the Toro? Did you ever look at those, or were you always...
I looked at it, and logically for me, price versus value. I had bought recently a Trident tractor, and I was very happy with that from the Chinese tractor bit. And probably for the price of this and about 15 attachments was probably close to half the price, or 2/3 of the price of just a local manufactured or name brand product. And since I'm not running a commercial operation, I thought, yep, I will take a roll from it. I rolled the dice. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos and saw a lot of reviews on the V1000, so I knew it was a fairly capable machine, and there was a lot of good things said about Dean at Derette. So from that, it gave me the confidence. And so there was also, I would have to say another reason is safety, because I have a 60 horsepower tractor, a very sloped property. The person who used to mow this property before I bought this property, I had a local mowing company, and about 6 months after I bought this property, on another property, not this one, he rolled a tractor on himself and killed himself. Okay. And where I grew up, there was another neighbor of mine who also killed himself on a tractor. So my wife was freaking out every time I went out on the tractor. Yep. I would get the worry from her before, yep, and I would get the bit of scolding afterwards. Okay. Don't do it again. So,
and how does your wife feel about you operating this machine?
Absolutely happy. She is happy. She's the one who encouraged me to get this, because it makes her feel a lot better. And I have to admit, I've probably scared myself a couple times on a tractor on this property.
For sure.
And this, I feel a lot more confidence. Okay. And if I do get in any situation where it could be dangerous, I can just step off the back. Okay.
And for you, being able to step off and get away from the machine is probably one of the most safety features of it. That's what makes you feel confident?
Yeah, well, yeah, several things. A, I can step off of it and get away, so that's a safety thing. B, if this tips over, it's probably not going to damage anything on the machine. I'll stand it back up, sit it for a week, yep, make sure no fluids are where they're not supposed to be, yep, start it up and go again. Now, if it's my tractor, I've got a cab, there's lots of damage to it, getting it flipped over. This machine weighs about 1/3 of what my tractor does.
Yep.
So it's just, and this machine, I can go places I couldn't even dream of with my tractor.
Do you think you'll retire the tractor? Do you think you'll keep the tractor?
I think, yeah, I think I'll keep the tractor for several reasons. One of the implements I have for my tractor are two implements. One is the wood chipper, and I have a 8-inch, can take 8-inch log wood chipper, and with a 60 horsepower tractor, I found that very, very useful on this property. And the other one is I have a verge mower, which is 1.8 meters. Now, I've found how I can drive back and forth, so it is quite a bit faster mowing, but I can do the more level or flatter surfaces and the large areas, but still for those little corners, this with either the brush cutter or the forest mulcher, I think is really, really good.
Now, before you bought this, did you have any experience with machines?
Look, I was born and raised on a farm, but I left the farm in 1980, and besides a couple summers driving combines, I probably haven't had more than an hour on a tractor or anything up until about a year ago when I bought that 60 horsepower tractor. This is the first tracked vehicle I've ever driven.
A bit more about the delivery. You said you're away for 3 months, 3 weeks of every month, and you only had a small window. How did you find the delivery process? Did you find you were communicated with adequately enough during the delivery process?
Yeah, well, look, I gave them, I had 2 lots of vacation, which I gave them targets for, initially for the V1000. I said I needed either here and here, and Felix says no problem. When we came to this, because of the delay, and we were waiting for them to finish the testing, and there was some refinements and everything happened. I had this vacation coming up on Christmas, and I said, I have to have it before Christmas. And it finished, and he says, you will have it before Christmas. Yeah. And they shipped, and it was here on the 22nd. And I said, I am flying in on the evening of the 21st. I can receive it on the 22nd. And it was delivered on the 22nd.
That's pretty amazing. And how many crates did you have? So you got a lot of implements. There's over 15 implements here, plus the machine itself.
I had 5 crates.
5 crates.
And I have a 1 kilometer long driveway, and it was delivered in a 12 pallet truck, and I've had a couple 12 pallet trucks up here, and I know the gentleman struggled very hard, and I was pretty sure that the driver wouldn't drive up my driveway, and we're presently doing some driveway renovation here and stuff, and renovation on the house, so we've torn up the driveway a bit and reshaped it so there's gravel up here. So I ended up hiring a all-terrain forklift, and I used that, which had a 2.5 ton capability, and I used that to bring the 5 crates up.
And you brought that up yourself? You dry hired that machine?
Yeah, I dry hired it. The heaviest crate was 1,800 kilos, which was the crate that had this.
Okay. And that was readily available, that forklift?
Yes. It was interesting. I was in a flight, and I got a message, because we have Starlink on the flight. There was a message that came in saying, we want to deliver it tomorrow morning, which was a Friday morning, which was probably the 20th. And I said, send him back a message that says, I'm not there till the 22nd. And they said, okay. I said, and I need to hire a forklift. They said, oh, the driver will make a decision. I said, no, because I don't have any space out on the road really to leave it out. He said, well, the driver has a power jack. I said, you're not going to get that up over on the road up to where you need to drop it off. I need to get a forklift. So over on the Friday afternoon, I arranged a forklift for Monday morning to get here at, driver wanted to get here at 7, the forklift could get here at 7:30, so I communicated to the driver 7:30. He arrived at 7:30. He arrived, and 2 minutes later the forklift arrived, and
away you went. And so for other Australians who are facing the same situation, because a lot of us here in Australia live in regional areas and remote properties, Where did you hire the forklift from?
It was called Freedom Forklifts, and look, it's okay if I say what I had to pay for it.
Yeah.
So with the delivery and them taking it back and me having it for 24 hours, it came up to $680.
So in the 30 hours that we've done, you've done this week, and the 6 hours we've done today, what have you accomplished with the machine? What have you been able to do with this?
Okay, with this machine, well, probably the first thing that I used was the road sweeper. I have a 1 kilometer long bitumen driveway, so it's a sealed driveway, and there's been years worth of leaves, needles, pine needles, because there are a few pine trees on there, leaves, dirt, rock, everything that's gone over that. So I did that, and that was very good. It took me about an hour and 15 to an hour 20. That was 4 passes up and down the driveway.
So you've done, let's say, call it 5 kilometers in an hour and a half.
Yeah, 5 kilometers in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
With that, you come back very dirty. You come back very dirty from that, and there's a lot of road grime. I've had the previous owners of the property had done some terraces which weren't to my liking, and they made the ground unusable. So I've flattened out a big section presently, and I'm flattening out another section with that. We had some trees that were damaged in Cyclone Alfred.
Yep.
That was last March. I had over 40 trees come down on the property and a bunch more damaged. So I have a small outbuilding on the property that had a branch come down, hit it, caused some minor damage, but had cracked the tree itself. So the tree was damaged, and there was another 2 trees that were threatening it.
Yep.
And they were all big, what do you call them, iron barks?
Iron barks, yeah.
So I wasn't brave enough to cut those down myself, so I had a tree service come out and cut those down, but leave them. I was going to wood chip them, but instead of having to wood chip those 3 iron barks, this baby with the forest mulcher pretty much did a day's worth of wood chipping in about 2 hours.
Wow, that's fantastic. So today we loaded the machine on the trailer and we went and did a job for a mate.
Yeah.
Could you ever imagine that you would buy a machine and take it across town and do jobs for people?
Oh, absolutely not. And again, it was our first experience with a rock breaker today.
Yeah.
We took it out. And again, there was a bit of a learning curve, but within probably 20 to 30 minutes, we'd figured out how to use a rock breaker efficiently, and it worked really well. We also used the backhoe function. So, and that was backhoe that goes on the front, not the one with the seat, but just and that was very effective too for cleaning out the rocks and the that we broke, and of course the bucket. But yeah, I could never imagine jumping, loading it on a trailer, very easy. Yeah. And what really impresses me is when I need to change an implement, if I have to take my verge mower off and put my wood chipper on by myself with the maneuvering of the tractor, the lack of visibility, that would be a 2-hour job. I have to allow 2 hours, and I'm probably being gracious, quite honestly. And I'm sitting there always thinking, it's off and this and that. And with this, literally to change from a rock breaker to the backhoe to the forest mulcher, each time it takes something to change, we can probably do it realistically in 2 minutes.
Fantastic. So your background, it's you said you're a pilot. How long have you been doing that?
I've been flying 44 years.
Okay.
So, but that includes when I started flying.
Yeah.
But I started flying back in 1981, and now we're almost 26. So.
Do you think when you go back next week to flying airplanes, you're going to be dreaming about running this machine? I obviously hope you're thinking about flying the airplane and you're taking our passengers safely. But when you've got a spare moment, do you think your mind will come back to this? Do you think you're hooked? Do you think you're addicted?
Oh, absolutely. I get more excitement out of this than flying to my Boeing 777 or 787. I fly both the Boeing 777 and 787. This this is exciting, and it brings back my youth, and it gives me back to that physical work, not sitting in a confined, cramped, but nature, and just being able to do things on the fly.